Fame, if you win it, comes and goes in a minute. Where's the real stuff in life to cling to? Long.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Boomer Pod podcast, where we interview movie and TV celebrities. Our guest today is writer, director, and producer Scott Naar. Welcome, Scott. Thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for
Um,
having me.
Let me ask you this. What other career paths did you try before getting into film?
Oh, yeah. Well, originally I was in music. I started playing an instrument when I was about 11. I was playing guitar. In high school, I formed a band and was really hoping to take it to the next level. We had some successes, and then I ended up going to college where I was going to study music there and form another band. But in college, I kind of fell in love with visual storytelling and films in general. And I kind of did a pivot when I was around 19 because I realized, I don't know, I feel like it was more of my bag to pursue filmmaking than to stick around in music, which was it was very difficult to kind of get stuff off the ground in the kind of music world. So I've also, when I was younger, I wanted to be an astrophysicist when I was a child. So that's another, but yeah, I pretty much have had always wanted to do something in my adult life as in the creative arts realm. So yeah.
Let's talk about your career in writing, directing, and producing. How do these different roles come to you?
Well, that's an interesting question. When you say different, how do they come to me? Do you mean like how did the opportunities arise, or how did I like decide to pursue those specific roles?
Both.
Okay. Yeah. So when I was, starting out with filmmaking, I realized that directing was probably going to be the path or the focus that I would stick on because I've always been someone who's loved building worlds and creating worlds. Even when I was a kid playing little board games I'd make up for me and my friends, it felt good to kind of be that crafter of the story. So that's kind of what why I decided to pursue in that angle is like being the crafter of the story, being the world builder. So to me, directing kind of went hand in hand with that. And also writing. I've been writing short stories since I was a kid. Never thought I could make a career out of it. I just did it for fun. But as time went on and I decided to switch over to filmmaking, when I initially wanted to, decide to be a director, I couldn't find any good scripts that people had. So I ended up just kind of writing my own stuff. I had never written a screenplay before. And then I wrote my first screenplay when I was about 20. And then I ended up directing that screenplay. It was a short film, a short horror film. And then I realized that's how I can do this. I can write my own stuff, direct my own stuff, and produce my own stuff. Because that's also producing came less as a passion and more as a necessity. Because basically, I mean, like all the people in film school, when you go there, and I went to film school eventually after my first school, where in undergrad, where I was pursuing music, and I ended up switching my major to radio and broadcast. After I left that college, I went to another college, which was a film school, the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale. And while I was there, obviously, one thing that people don't mention in film school is that pretty much everyone, at least at the time that I went, wanted to be a writer director. There wasn't a lot of people that wanted to be like a producer or a sound guy or things like that. So I ended up having to produce my own short films. So I kind of became a bit of a jack of all trades where it was like I was writing, directing, and producing my own stuff. So, and in terms of the opportunities that have come about through that, yeah, I mean, like most of them come from writing. They come from writing my own things, having people get interested in them, and then saying, okay, let's make this together. Let's make this the story that you wrote. And then, I've been able to direct and produce in that capacity. Producing has is definitely out of the three things, but like I said, my least passionate thing, but I do it out of necessity and I am good at it. So yeah.
Why short films, Scott?
Well, short films, I I did short films primarily in my 20s because they're easy. I don't want to say easy to make, but they are manageable to make when you don't have a lot of money. A feature film is very difficult to make with $5,000. There's just more in the stamina of a feature film that you have to feed, and that the food of the feature film is money. So it's just very difficult. So that's why I kind of stayed in the short film realm for a while. Even after I left college, I still continued to make short films because short films are also a great vehicle to get your name out there, to get your work out there. I'm under the impression that you should always be creating no matter what. And sometimes the easiest thing to create is a short film, a 3-minute piece that you can film on a camera and have your friends act in it if you don't have a lot of money or resources. Or even, I've done that, but I've also in my early days, but I've also done, short films that have a lot of money in them that are, almost built like feature film sets, but obviously it's for a short film. But now where I'm at in my career is I'm in the process of developing feature films because short films are great, but they don't really make any money because people don't usually want to buy a short film. They want to buy features. So I live in LA now, and here in LA, since I've been here, it's been all the focus has been feature films.
Now, you've produced and directed across a number of different genres. Are there any favorites?
Yeah, horror is my main genre, horror and drama. While I was in film school, I mainly did drama films, which was great, and I got a lot of acclaim from those drama films. But when I left, I decided that I wanted to pursue horror films. They've always been a passion of mine, watching them. Like I'm a big Halloween fan in terms of the season and the movie series. And I love horror. Ever since I was a kid, I loved horror. So after I left film school, I decided I'm gonna do a hard focus on the horror genre. And I've been mainly in that lane. I've fallen back to straight dramas, but I specifically, especially in the feature film realm, I'm definitely more in the horror space.
Are you familiar with Brad Loree?
No, no, not sure who that is.
Brad Loree was the main character in Halloween.
Really?
Yes,
In Halloween, from back
the
like the
series,
original?
the original.
Oh, okay. Okay. I didn't know that. I didn't know that was the actor's name.
Yeah, he's quite a character, and he's a good friend.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Have you ever done an adaptation from a novel?
I've written an adaptation for a novel. I have not filmed an adaptation for a novel. I've written actually quite a few adaptations from novels. Obviously, as I know, I work also as a writer, for, a day job. So I have developed both a feature film script and a pilot script based on a novel. So, but I haven't filmed one yet. Most of what I've filmed in terms of narrative has been stuff that I've written myself.
Now, how about TV? Are you into that at all?
Yeah, I love TV. I'd love to get into the TV space. I prefer feature films, but one day I would love to be a showrunner for a TV series that I would develop. That's in a lot of ways, like I don't want to say it's my dream job, but it'd be something that I'd absolutely love because showrunners kind of get to be world builders of like a multi-year long narrative, and that very much interests me.
Well, let me be a little self-serving. I've written and published three fiction novels. The,
Fantastic.
the last one is a crime drama that I believe is ripe for adaptation to a TV series. Is that something that you would ever consider producing?
Sure, sure. I'd take a look. Yeah, absolutely.
We can forward you the pilot script and the TV show Bible,
Okay.
studio Bible, if you like.
Okay. Sure.
Let me tell you a bit about it, and then you decide whether or not you've made the right decision. A Jewish torch club singer becomes the wife and consigliera to a Chicago Italian mob boss. This is a passionate love story, guilt-free, blood-soaked retribution, and this dangerous woman's approach to the gangster world. You'd have to think of Godfather Part Two and Queen of the South. Is that something that would raise your interest?
Yeah, sure. Why not? That sounds fun.
Do you undertake your own casting?
Depends. I usually will collaborate for casting. I'd probably have to collaborate with a casting director or another producer for that.
And how about the script writing?
Well, I mean, I would probably if anyone, like I'm usually the script writer for any project that I'm working on if I can help it. I just find that it gives me a little bit more creative control, which I like. So yeah.
And then, and of course, directing.
Yes. Yeah. That's my main bag, my main focus, my main bread and butter is definitely directing. So yeah, for sure that.
Well, I'll shoot this off to you and you let me know if it's something you're interested in.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
What are you working on right now?
I'm working on a couple things. I have a screenplay that is currently under a shopping agreement that is looking to get made in quarter 2 of next year. Unfortunately, I won't be directing that one, but that's okay. That was part of the deal because of a few stipulations. I won't go into it anymore. And other than that, I'm also writing right now a new horror film that I plan to film next year, a horror feature film that is a folk horror that is about a clairvoyant painter who goes back to her hometown to discover that her sick grandmother's illness might be related to the occult and not to natural causes. So yeah. And then other than that, I actually also made a short film this year too that I'm planning to release in October during the Halloween season. It was kind of like a quick little flash short film that I made with a few people. So that's coming out soon as well. And I also started up a really popular dark media channel on YouTube that covers a lot of true crime and things like that, which has gotten a lot of traction in the past couple months. It's called The Darchives, if you want to look it up. It basically covers all manner of internet mysteries and like mysterious disappearances and just dark things out there. It's a fledgling channel. I just started it a couple weeks ago, but it's already blown up on YouTube, which is great. Completely unplanned. I was just doing it for fun, and it's really getting a lot of traction. So, yeah,
Why the dark side?
why the dark side? That's an interesting question. I was musing with a friend the other day philosophically about it. I think that like for a lot of humans, it's almost like an evolutionary thing. Like humans like to like dark things because our evolutionariness in us from when we were cavemen, if like that's the side of the belief system you believe in, when we were cavemen, naturally attuned to want to know what are the dark and unknown things out there to protect ourselves and our loved ones. And I think that evolutionary kind of gene has grown with us, and it's now become why a lot of people, especially in my generation, with streaming, has kind of not fallen in love, but like garnered a huge interest in like true crime and like disappearances and cults and serial killers even and stuff like that. For me personally, it's just when I was a kid, I was scared by horror movies and a lot of horror stuff, but that's one part of my brain. The other part of my brain, even when I was a kid, is that I'm extremely curious and I'm someone that like loves to garner knowledge and loves to know everything. So I think that because I was so scared of horror films and horror content when I was a kid, that when I became kind of a preteen, I wanted to know more and I wanted to kind of fall into the world a little bit and then and kind of understand like why am I afraid of this? Like what is this? Like the fear had a byproduct which was curiosity. So then when I was a teenager, I got really into horror films and things like that, and it just kind of blossomed out from there. I always kind of attribute it to kind of like I don't know if you've seen Batman Begins, but when he's a kid in the movie, he's afraid of bats, and then he goes into a bat cave, and then he's not afraid of bats anymore, and then he becomes Batman. And I attributed that to myself a little bit with horror, where it's like when I was a kid, I was so scared of it, and then like I kind of like accepted it in my preteen years, and then I became the horror man, this is so to speak. So yeah, that's
Very,
pretty
very interesting. Very
yeah.
interesting. Tell us about some of your most memorable films.
Sure, man. Oh, wow. One of my most memorable films from back in the day, it was a film called Hallie, and it was actually my thesis film for grad school. And it's a very special film because it was a film that, let's just say, as soon as I entered grad school in my mid-20s, I said on my first day in grad school, I said, this film idea is going to be my final. This is going to be my final thing. And it ended up being that. And it's basically a drama about a guy who falls in love with his own hallucination. It's kind of like a Beautiful Mind meets The Tree of Life, or it's very Terrence Malick, very kind of like ethereal and mysterious, but also like it has a lot of drama and like heartstring pulling in it. And it's memorable for a lot of reasons. It's memorable because of it's a film that like stewed in my brain for 3 years until I decided to finally make it. And then I made it a reality, which was a great accomplishment for me. And it gained a lot of awards. I won a bunch of Best Director awards. It won a lot of awards at different film festivals. I've even considered making it, and I've had people talk to me about making it a feature. And it actually was playing on TV for a while, for about 3 years, mainly during the pandemic. It was playing on Shorts TV on DirecTV. It isn't anymore, but that was a cool run. That was a great one. And then one that is a little bit more recent is a little film called Willow and Lydia, which is a short horror film that I made, which is about a same lesbian couple who are having trouble getting pregnant through a donor. And so one of them decides to summon basically a demon in order to, Rosemary's Baby, the situation, if you get my drift. And that one is really memorable because it's one that it's probably the biggest production I had done at the time. And it was a film that got into a ton of the most film festivals I've ever gotten into all over the world. They got into about 25 film festivals and it played like everywhere. And it's garnered a huge following online too, and like kind of a cult status. So I'm really proud of that film, and I actually have a feature for that film written. I haven't started developing it yet in terms of pushing it, but because I have some other priorities. But yeah, I think those two are two of my most memorable.
Fantastic. Now, what do you consider your greatest accomplishments?
Yeah, I mean that film obviously was one of them. It gave me a lot of clout and a lot of recognition. I think another big accomplishment was basically my horror feature film that I have in development. Unfortunately, I can't say the name because of NDAs and stuff like that, but that's a pretty big deal because that script is actually going to be made and put into development, starring a pretty A-list cast and a pretty A-list crew and all that. So, I mean, it's the biggest accomplishment thus far because it's something that I made that's going to be something that I wrote that's going to be made on a multi-million dollar budget. So I'm super excited for that as well. And I think that's the biggest accomplishment because don't I don't have an agent or a manager. So currently, so the fact that along with my partner who I wrote it with, that the fact that we were able to push that well enough so it got picked up without an agent or a manager is a pretty I mean, I've been told by many people out here in the industry in LA that's a feat that we were able to do that. So yeah,
Congrats.
thank you.
Now, as far as casting is concerned, have you ever written characters based on an actor or an actress that you're familiar with?
No, most definitely. Many characters, a ton. I will say that I think I've written a lot of characters that I see Anya Taylor-Joy, the actress, in a lot of roles. Most recently, a script that I wrote, I saw Stephen Ewan in the main role. I saw Kaylee Spaney in the female lead role. Yeah, tons of times. I think you have to a lot of the time because it just makes you visualize it more and it puts a face to the name. And I think I'm able to like create like faces kind of in my head about like what a character is supposed to look like, but um a lot of times it's just easier when you're writing to conceptualize an actor that's already out there doing the thing. So, yeah.
Do you reach out to these people as far as asking them to play the character, or do you have somebody else do that?
That's someone else who usually does that. I mean, I don't really, excuse me, as like, that's definitely someone else that would usually do that. I can draw up a short list of ideas, but like I'm not usually the one who's going to like reach out to them for that because they're not gonna listen to me. They're gonna listen to someone that's a little bit higher up that's like specialty is like, hey, like I'm, probably like a casting director or something like that, or someone along that line who's like who can be that middleman. I don't have the clout, so to speak, to kind of reach out directly to A-listers, but one day.
Sure. What about some of your biggest career challenges, Scott?
I mean, I mean, pretty much, I mean, let's be real here. This whole path of directing and writing is a challenge in of itself. It's very hard to get projects off the ground, even a little bit. Very, 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 very hard. It's very hard to raise money, even for a short film. It's very hard to even raise $5,000. It's tough, and that's the lifeblood of filmmaking is money. Like you need money to if you have money, you can do anything. And in the past, I've had a few ideas in short films. I'll say that last year, I had a short film that was going to be a proof of concept for a feature film that I was working on and developing a campaign for that unfortunately we didn't like meet the quota that we needed to make it. And unfortunately, we had to cancel that project. So a lot of the times it's definitely challenges related to just finding, the right people to help things get made or the right people to put me or whosoever in contact with others that can like help me make, a project a reality. And then also just like finding representation. It's tough, because the industry right now is oversaturated. Anyone can make a film. It's not like back in the day where it was very difficult to go out and buy a camera and some film and get a crew and put together something. Now you can use your phone, use some friends, do whatever, and you can make a movie. And the thing is that a lot of people in the industry know that. And because they know that, they've kind of locked up. So it's tougher to get in the room with people to pitch ideas. It's tougher to get in the room with agents and managers for them to represent you. It's tough all over. A lot of higher ups in the industries, the movers and the shakers, they see a lot of people like me on kind of like what you would call the mid-level or like the higher level, but still like not quite at the, let's say, I don't know, Quentin Tarantino level. They see us as like a little bit of, I don't want to say this about myself, but I mean, just in general, like a dime a dozen because it's so oversaturated. Anyone can make a film. Anyone can write a script. Anyone can do this now. So the gatekeeping in the industry has been a huge challenge to get to overcome and get over. But we keep trucking because we do this for love of the art and love of the filmmaking. So yeah.
Where do you hope to be in the next 5 years, my friend?
Directing features full time. Simple as that. I want to be directing features full time. I want to be at a level where I have a feature deal with Netflix, Hulu Prime to make a battalion of films or TV series for them. I want to be the next Mike Flanagan. I want to be the next Mike Flanagan who does both movies and television and does it on a prolific, consistent basis because I have a fleet of ideas and movies ideas and story ideas and series ideas that I could bring to a studio or a distribution company or a production company or a group of producers. I'm already a very prolific artist in what I do. I create constantly. I'm always writing. I like I said, I even do things for YouTube. So yeah, that's kind of where I want to be. I just want to be making kind of that level of content that will be in theaters and on streaming pretty much 24/7, 365. Yeah.
Do you feel you have solid contacts that will help you to get to your goal?
Yeah, I do have a few. Yeah, I have quite a lot actually of a good network of producers and EPs and various other crew members that have definitely helped and have definitely got me in good places. Obviously, the problem is still the gatekeeping of kind of like the studios and stuff that is hard to penetrate even with that network. It just is what it is right now. It's very hard to penetrate, but yeah, yeah, I very much have a good circle of people that have been helpful to me and continue to be helpful.
Can you tell us about your heritage, Scott?
Yeah, I'm originally born and raised in Kingston, Jamaica. I lived there until I was 17. My parents are both kind of multiracial. I am also multiracial. I am Black, German, Jewish, Welsh, and Norwegian. Yeah. I'm a bit of a mutt, and yeah, I originally I was born and raised in Kingston, Jamaica, and I moved to the States when I was about 17 to pursue music, as I said before. So that's a little bit. I mean, proud of my Jamaican roots and heritage and all that, and also of all my other, I guess, European and African roots as well. So yeah, a lot of what I do comes from those different threads of me. I've written films set in Africa and Norway and Jamaica, things like that. So yeah.
And what do your parents think about your endeavors?
Oh, they've supported me since day one, even when I wanted to do music. They supported me playing in a band and doing that since I've, lived in America and decided to pursue filmmaking. They've supported me 100% in that too. Obviously, there's been a few points where they've been like, maybe do you want to look at something else? Like, and I've, always emphatically told them, no, there's no plan B, it's only this plan A. And they get that, they both get that. So I'm very lucky to have them as cheerleaders for me.
And how about your immediate family? Doesn't
Uh,
your wife work with you?
yes, yes, we work together very, very closely. We both write together. She's my screenwriting partner. We also film things together, me as director, her as producer. So yeah, we don't have any kids yet, but like we are that's because we're trying to do our thing and make our way in this industry and trying to put all our time into that. So yeah.
Now, were you her inspiration to get involved, or was she involved before she knew you?
No, no, she was involved. We both kind of met, for a mutual, appreciation of our drive in the industry. So we were both already doing our things. Yeah.
And that's Sarah, right?
Yes. Yes.
Great, great. How would you like Scott Naar to be remembered?
Oh wow. Definitely, I mean, first and foremost by, the family, my future family, but for the general public, I want them to remember me as a innovator and a prolific creator who they can kind of look to as a architect of a lot of memories and nostalgia and things like that they can like always look back to. Like almost like, you think about directors like Tim Burton who created so much content, or like Spielberg that like, resonate with people, an entire generation of people who, say, oh, those films, like they helped me through this or they helped me through that, or, those are my favorite films and I watch them like 3 times a year. I want to be that kind of director, creator, someone who remember me as someone who gave them entertainment that helped them through life, whether it's for just purely entertainment and fun sake, or if it's they're going through a rough time and I don't know, one of my movies become like a comfort movie for them. That would be like the best compliment is like, hey, one of your movies is like one of my comfort movies. Like it's a movie that I put on whenever I'm like, feeling away and it like helps me. That would be the best compliment ever. So yeah.
What have I missed, Scott? Anything else that you'd like to mention or pitch?
No, that's pretty much it. I mean, I would love to. I mean, the only shameless plug, I'll say it again. Right now, one of my main projects is my YouTube channel called The Darkives. That's Darkhives. And it's a channel that focuses on dark media, everything from, like I said, like internet mysteries to mysterious disappearances to really kind of other dark stories. It's like I said, I just started up this summer and it's doing really well, and I want to continue growing it because it's a bit of a passion of mine too to be working on that. So just gonna plug that in. Check out the Darkives
I
over on
will,
YouTube.
for sure. Will you join us again in the future to share any updates in your career?
Of course, 100%.
I'll be in touch. Well, I'm going to
Awesome.
do a little self-serving thing here. You're going to get this information.
Oh,
The name of the book is Mafia
yeah,
Muse.
Muse. Okay. You people call it
It's,
chutzpah.
yeah, exactly. Let me know if you have any interest in making this or working with it, or if you know anybody who might.
I will, for
Thank
sure.
you, thank you for the interesting conversation, Scott.
Thank you, Larry. I appreciate it.
Take care and bye-bye.
You. Bye-bye.
And you will be happy too.